Good morning to all our Facebook audience around the country and around the globe. Great to bring this to you today. Of course, I'm with Mark Watson, the CEO of Bowls New Zealand.
Can I stop you there? It's Mark Cameron, not Mark Watson. Mark Watson's that radio sport dude, isn't he?
Well, I've done that again.
We're very similar, but in attitudes and approach.
Mark Watson's very silent at the moment on the airwaves.
Oh, is he? Okay.
So, Mark Cameron, the CEO of Bowls New Zealand, and we look forward to answering some of the questions that have come forward, and also, of course, to have a chat with Mark over what's happening. We're in winter time at the moment, Mark, so obviously still busy though, a lot after Commonwealth Games, still a lot to do, isn't it? Catching up on things. New programs.
Yeah. New programs. I mean, it's one thing to talk about change. The winter is when you start to deliver some of that change as well, in terms of competition structures, putting out conditions of play, finalising deal around television competitions, high performance reviews from Com Games. There's a heck of a lot there.
And of course, I also know, which is another separate issue, that at the moment Bowls New Zealand are working very hard on creating other income streams to bring in to assist the whole financial aspect of Bowls New Zealand, which has got to be a positive, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if there was one clear message, or there's a few clear messages as I toured the country over the last couple of months, is that Bowls New Zealand needs to step up and generate some additional new commercial revenues. So we've got some very good partnerships developing now. One with Somerset Retirement Villages, which we're really pleased with. Tower Insurance will remain a partner, but now we've also taken on board Apex Insurance, and we'll be working with clubs around their insurance, and hopefully reducing some of the costs in that space.
And also, I believe for the likes of
Greenkeepers, Treble Seeds is in there. The TAB is another one. Direct Sports. So there's a lot happening in that commercial space, and the reality is that that's an area that I'm quite comfortable operating in, and we've made some good headway there.
Well, it's got to be a plus for the sport because it's something which has been needed, has been rightly pointed out. And just on that as well, clubs in the process now having annual general meetings, all that sort of thing, and coming up to the Bowls New Zealand annual general meeting. What do the numbers look like, from going forward, because there's always been this, our numbers are declining. So what do the numbers actually look like at present?
Really good. We continue to see that growth in casual participation. Now, we know that, and that's a story that we've been telling for a number of years now, the people that just casually turn up. But what happened this past year, though, was that we had a growth in our membership of bowling clubs of 4.1%. So a 4% growth in the membership of our bowling clubs, which is probably the first for a number of years where we've actually grown membership. But that membership growth is primarily in the social member. So those people that are joining up the bowling club, for $20, $60, $80, not so much for the bowls, but for the other activities that the bowling club also operates.
Great to see. Just quickly, just closing on that is I just saw an article, in fact, that subsequent to the Commonwealth Games at Broadbeach, they're seeing increased numbers at the clubs on the Gold Coast as well, which shows that television makes a difference. So we'll move into television now because Bowls New Zealand just made a recent announcement with their new concept, Bowls 3.5, and we're going live on TV.
We're going live, Sky Sport. Was it Tuesday, Wednesday night? Better get my facts right here. 7 till 10, October 23rd, November 28th, so through that period of time. So wall to wall, you won't miss us. If you've got Sky Sport or the club's got Sky Sport, you will be seeing Bowls on TV.
Now, I've had some questions posed to me about the Bowls 3.5. There's 6 sides from around the country, from way down as far as the south as Gore, which is fantastic.
Yep.
And in Christchurch and Woodend, Stoke from Nelson, Stokes Valley out of Wellington, and the Royal Oak in Auckland, and of course Point Chevalier. That makes the field up. Is that right?
Yep, that's your 6. Well done.
Now, so one of the questions that was posed to me is what is actually the objective of it? Is it highly competitive? Is it about promoting the game? What's the general theme of it all?
Look, if from a personal perspective, I think this is about promoting the game. I have no doubt, though, that those teams, those players that turn up to play in this competition, it'll be about winning. It'll be about the competition. And I'll leave that for them. From a Bowls New Zealand perspective, though, it's about promoting the game, pushing our product out to a wider audience than just the bowls community, and that's what Sky Sport offers us. So let's promote the game. Let's show our game as being entertaining, as being diverse. Anyone can play this game. Let's show it, and it's competitive as well. Let's show us in that space.
So I think we're going to more than likely see with this is a blend of over 60s, youth, top players, some well-known personalities. And talking this morning to Erin here, that the intention is that you and I will do another segment in weeks to come where we'll just talk about Bowls 3-5 and who makes it up and that. But it is delivering an all-age package.
It has to, because that's what our sport offers. It doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter whether you're male or female. It doesn't matter whether you're able-bodied, disabled. It doesn't matter what ethnicity you are. You can play the sport, and that's what we want to celebrate and show within our sport, within this product as well. So we will have an 18-year-old playing in this competition. Equally, we'll have a 70 or 80-year-old playing in this competition. And I think that's great. How many sports do you know where you can get an 18-year-old in a televised league playing against a 70, 80-year-old?
So is it moving forward from Bowls New Zealand's point of view, the Bowls 3-5 project is about bringing a shorter time game to the bowls market, or the overall market, and it can be played at a competitive level and at a social/business house level. It's a total package.
Yeah, and
product,
I think it's the total package that's probably the key here. It's not, this short form product is not new for bowls. You know, it's in Australia, it's in New Zealand, it's in New Zealand clubs. What we're trying to do is just almost standardise it into the one package. So into 3-5, into Bowls 3-5. So if you see it on TV, you can play that product at a local club. Now that's going to take time. That's not going to happen this summer. That's going to take 3 to 5 summers effectively to really entrench this in the same way as T20 cricket is entrenched into cricket.
So what we're saying to those people out there who may not be bowlers or who watch this on Facebook, the thinking has always been you join a bowling club, your whole weekend's going to be committed to either playing club championships or centre events or something else or whatever. While the introduction of Bowls 3-5, we're bringing, like as you rightly say, 2020 or 9-hole golf, we're bringing a sport, an event whereby you can go and play for a couple of hours with some friends or whatever, within an inter-club event or whatever, have a beer, go home, and the rest of the weekend's sort of free. Is that sort of...
Yeah, a little bit. I think we're also understanding too that people don't want to, join as full-time members of bowling club just to play bowls as well. So this is just another opportunity for them to do something within a bowling club. They may be a member, they may not be. They get to play in a shortened format of the game that offers less commitment, which is a reality of the generation behind you and I. Is that it's the time conscious.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So what we're going to see as well this year, of course, we're not going to go right into depth with it, but there has been some changes in the event structure with Bowls New Zealand, and we've got the Summer of Bowls, which we can quickly chat about. Yep. I think the pleasing thing that I've already seen, although there's been a lot of there's been negativity over certain changes, but the introduction of a number of new events which are going to come onto the Summer of Bowls this year, which are all very exciting, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean it's been a tough road in some respects because and I think back to the Bowls 3-5, there are some clubs that missed out that wanted to be in this. And when we start talking about competition structure, there are some competitions that a number of people feel should remain. What we've done is we've just decluttered that national competition level. We've freed it up, and now what we're starting to see is these new competitions are starting to evolve. Centres are looking within their own competition structures and changing them and hopefully making them better, or at least doing something different. Clubs are doing different things. So we're now seeing, you talked about the Summer of Bowls. We've yet to officially launch the Summer of Bowls, but we've seen in the past month 4 new tournaments added to the calendar of between $15,000 and $20,000 prize money.
And
I'm not saying that's a direct consequence of what we've done, but certainly us decluttering the calendar has freed up weekends and has meant that clubs have actually started to look within and centres look within and done things differently.
And I think the other positive thing from that is that there's clubs and centres here who are now enlarging their commercial partnership opportunities in the way of sponsorship, and of course with the live streaming that we're doing as well. There's, I won't call it payback, but there's certainly opportunity for exposure of commercial partners, and which has been a struggle, hasn't it? Really?
Yeah. I mean, we need to help. I mean, we need to help these tournaments, and that's why we're bringing in the Summer of Bowls. You know, I mean, I don't know if it's on your question list, but I do want to touch on the whole pathway side of things as well.
Yes.
So we said that we were going to. If there's the second big message that I probably picked up going around the country was there needs to be a pathway for the average club bowler to win a national title.
Correct.
And I get that. And we will, over the next 2 to 3 months, you'll start to see some of that thinking come through. And that we need to actually create a competition or have a competition where the average club bowler can go on and win a national title outside of nationals. So we will look to do that over the next few months and build on it. It just hasn't happened straight away, and I think that's a source of frustration for some, is that they almost feel like we've dumped some of these competitions and they'll never reappear. It's not the intent. The intent is to sit down and have a review, which we're doing, and then come up with some, I don't know, they may end up being the same, but it may look different too.
So contrary to what might be a thought out there from the populace, what Bowls New Zealand are, I think, constructively doing, are realigning what is attractive to our participating market, trying to deliver a product to cover all from the new bowler, the over 60 bowler, the secondary school bowler, the highly competitive bowler, but also in placing part of that sort of management of that back into the centres and the clubs, rather than Bowls New Zealand trying to do everything.
Yeah, and your secondary schools is a good example of that. So I'm very appreciative of Auckland Bowls. So Auckland Bowls are looking to run, and with our support, a national secondary schools competition this year. That's great, because there's demand out there for it. And I applaud Auckland Bowls, and I applaud some of the other initiatives that are happening around the country as well.
Well, it's interesting, you and I in the last 24 hours have had communication, for example, in Stoke and Nelson, right?
Yes.
And it's very good to read the communications where they're actually, Stoke's comments were, they're actually excited about the opportunities that they're looking at with the Peers tournament and also a women's singles tournament, and of course they're in the televised event. Yep. And they're embarking upon this. They're certainly a club. Well, Nelson's very proactive. A couple of events that they have. So those are all positives, aren't they?
Oh, but you go around the country. Look, at last count, I think our Summer of Bowls had about 40 events on it. That's huge for any sport.
It is.
To have that number of events around the country accessible to all bowlers effectively.
So Bowls New Zealand will play a role in this scheduled Summer of Bowls by resource assistance. I know we'll be live streaming some of them,
it'll be what we can do. So
yes.
Let's not. I don't want to oversell it, but what we are doing is we're starting to celebrate an important part of our calendar, our community, and I think that's really important. And I'll go back to the point about pathways and competition structures. What we've done, rightly or wrongly in some people's eyes, is we've shaken the tree. And we've shaken it up and we've gone, okay, let's have a good look at these things. What are important? What aren't important? It's been really good.
Well, we're seeing that, of course, with the nationals. And look, I'll be one. I've been an advocate of it. And you mentioned the tree as an example. Well, let's face it, the tree has been fairly dormant for a number of years. So now what we're doing is, as you rightly say, we're putting some new branches on the tree. And that, of course, happened with the Nationals. We were going to have singles and pairs played as one event, and the fours played later on in Wellington. Is that correct? And
So singles and pairs are separate to the fours. Will it work? I don't know. I'm not sure. But should we have stayed on the path which we were on, which was declining numbers? No, that's just stupidity. So we're trying something different. If it doesn't work, the split nationals, then we will review it. We will at some stage also review the whole discussion around composite sides versus club-based sides at nationals.
Always been a topic.
Always been a topic, but let's not be scared to tackle these topics. And I think I'm hoping that's what people are finding refreshing at the moment, is that at least we are tackling the topics.
Oh, I agree.
We're not hiding from them.
You're right. And I think what is happening, and I know you've been very busy pounding the pavements, pounding the highways, you're visiting clubs and centres and having all these meetings, etc. And really, we're getting to a stage, well, we're at a stage where Bowls New Zealand are listening. We've got it all, trying to envelop an all-encompassing sort of participation, and the doors are open for communication, and that's got to be a plus for the sport, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit wary about how much communication I personally can handle sometimes. So I tend to, if someone rings me, someone emails me, someone writes to me, I'll always respond, personally respond. And Bowls New Zealand will do our best in terms of the social media. I personally don't engage much in the social media space, but it's important that we keep talking. But the best forms of communication, and I thoroughly enjoyed the last 3 or 4 months when I went around the country. The best form of communication is talking to people.
Oh,
face to face. Because then you can have a good, robust conversation, and you can put across a couple of points of view, your point of view, their point of view. You can't always do that in a short paragraph, in an email or a tweet or whatever it might be these days.
So we had the Commonwealth Games back earlier on the year, of course, on the Gold Coast at Broadbeach. Joe Edwards, sterling performance, gold medal, and of course the para triples. They all but brought a gold medal home. Other than that, they would have to be fair and blunt to say that the result was disappointing, and no doubt Bowls New Zealand are in the process of a whole review of high performance and everything around that.
Yeah. I mean, this is an important winter project for us. We've got a little bit of time up our sleeve. Our next big event is not till May, June of next year, which is the Trans-Tasman and the Asia Pacific for the Blackjacks. We are doing a full-on high-performance review. It hasn't got the national media interest the likes of netball and other sports have got, but we are hitting this one and hitting it hard. We've already been in discussions with other sporting codes, cricket, rowing, High Performance Sport New Zealand, Sport NZ. We've had a number of discussions there. We have engaged with past Blackjacks, past coaching support staff, and over the next 2 to 3 months we will hit the pavements again and promote and test out a new high performance strategy. And we need to do it. There are some things that were evident in the Com Games that need to be addressed from a high performance perspective.
And and I think all sports are going. Well, a number of sports are going through this at present, and bowls are going down the right path, I would say, because we do know, and there need to be changes. But the other, I think, positive thing about that, if I go back to the Summer of Bowls, there's going to be a lot more events where our leading players or aspiring players can perform in a good quality event. Against the best players
in New Zealand too.
In New Zealand,
yeah.
And of course the selectors or high performance group, whoever they may well be, they'll be able to watch these people play against the best, won't they?
Yeah, and it has to link in. I mean, one of the ideas we had, which we haven't figured out yet, though, is to create a ranking system for players within New Zealand. So Kevin, you might be ranked 27,234 on a
that'd be about right.
On a ranking system. But let's look at that sort of stuff, which not only is about high performance, but it's involving the community side of the game. Because if you listen to golf and their ranking systems and their rating system, it's been a godsend for the sport.
Well, it's also, I know they have it in Australia. Bowls Australia have one. And it also, for those players, is a striving factor in there as well, isn't it? They want to lift themselves up the rankings. So that's great. Yeah. So the earlier on this year, of course, in Wellington, we had the BPL played at Nainai, and that's on the calendar at this stage, or it's negotiation for that event for next year at that very, very good Nainai complex.
Yeah, I mean, it's our intent. We're waiting on a review with Bowls Australia on that one. In the meantime, though, we've got our own Bowls 3-5, and the good thing is that we are taking a bit of a lead now. We're not relying on, shall we say, an Australian product for our television exposure,
which is a big plus.
We shouldn't underestimate that 6 weeks on TV, 2 nights a week for 3 hours a night, is going to make a splash on the New Zealand sporting or New Zealand scene.
Certainly is.
I'm not nervous about ratings. I'm not nervous about the product that we put on TV. I am a little bit nervous about the reaction to the product, because I don't think it's going to be to everyone's cup of tea within the bowling community. I mean, we're going to only play bowls into one end.
Kevin, you know,
Yes.
and that's not normal.
No, it's not.
We're going to surround the head with people. So, there'll be no quiet behind the head. There'll be movement, there'll be drinking, there'll be noise behind the head. That's going to challenge our thinking. Now, as long as people understand this is a television product, it's not the product that necessarily will be down there and played on Saturdays. As long as they understand the difference, we'll be okay.
Well, it's about getting. Look, reality is it's about getting the sport in front of a wider audience, isn't it? And we do know last year, as the case in point with the BPL and Nine that there was people, and I had friends of mine who watched the first night, and then I watched a bit the second night, but they were watching all the time. So it is a good viewing thing. And then we've got the AGM coming up in September. Anything? It's all just a pretty normal AGM.
No, we've got a levy vote. Vote on the levy system. I think that'll be interesting to see. Look, I'll go on record now and saying I don't think that the levy model that we propose, we've got it 100% right. We need to be thinking about smaller clubs a lot better than what that model proposed. But we all learn from these things. So we've got a levy discussion, and there's a couple of other discussions in there. I think I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but financially we've made a small surplus, which is probably the first time in 10 years we've made a surplus, so I'm pretty pleased with that. But then we've got some big projects coming up around 3.5, around high performance going forward that we need to be thinking about as well.
So, look, for all you people out on our Facebook...
Oh, you've missed the awards dinner. We've got an awards dinner at Eden Park.
Right.
So celebrating what's great about our bowls community, from clubs to volunteers through to coaches, umpires and players.
And that's anyone can buy a ticket type event, is it?
If you're in Auckland, you can buy tickets. Yeah. It's definitely in that space, but it's really about recognising those that have performed.
So, to all the Facebook people out there, that, and I must say, Bowls New Zealand, I can speak on behalf of Bowls New Zealand here, that this year was our first year doing the live streaming, and we were delighted with the followings that we got, and also the number of other clubs and events who also picked up the live streaming scenario. And what Mark and I have done this morning is going to be an ongoing thing. It's not a scheduled in time when we're going to do it, but the next one that we want to be able to chat more about is like Bowls 3.5 and how we can bring that to the wider community from the club level right up to the big tournament. We will do that, and we will also talk about the Summer of Bowls, of the events that there are, where they are, the sort of whether they're pairs or fours, whatever they might be, and the opportunities out there, of course, for the bowler to be able to enter so many of these events in the Summer of Bowls.
Yep.
Where it looks like we're going to have quite significant prize money at a number of these events. And and I know that one of the things that bowlers, all sports, always going on about is, what about prize money? Well, I think the clubs and centres have taken some of that initiative into their own domain, and it's a plus.
And so have we. I mean, 3.5 is going to have 30,000 prize money.
There you go.
We've increased Nationals prize money this year as well by another $5,000. So there's a bit more money going into that pool.
So are you telling me, just quickly back, so the Bowls 3.5 tournament, the big tournament on TV, overall in that event, there's $30,000 in prize money?
28. I rounded up.
All right.
I rounded up from 28. So $28,000.
$28,000
is
So all you people, you heard that, $28,000. The Nationals, the prize money, and I know there is people out there always saying, "Well, I come to Nationals and the prize money." The prize money for the Nationals increased by
$5,000.
By $5,000
Yep.
over the singles, pairs, and fours over the split events, right?
It's still not enough, though, Kevin. The reality is that a televised league should have higher prize money for those participating. Nationals, for the commitment that you're making, should have higher prize money. But if we keep making these steps, can I go back to your comment though about ongoing conversations like this? I would welcome through our Facebook. Or email, whatever, questions. So if we're going to carry on having these conversations, fire in questions to Bowls New Zealand that you can pick up and tackle with me, because no matter what I do or what Bowls New Zealand does in terms of the written word or in terms of getting around the traps, we can't cover every question. We can't answer every
Absolutely
scenario.
not. No.
So if you've got questions out there that you're not sure of, we got one the other day which was, You know, is Bowls 3-5 the one that's being run within the centres? Has that got a $6,500 prize? It's $6,500 entry fee. And the answer is no. The entry fee is zero. But I'm not blaming that person. It's just the information gets a bit muddled as it moves through channels. So ask those questions.
And look, for me sitting here, I certainly want to be able to have feedback to know of what we can take forward, because sure, there's always going to be criticism. Not everything's 100% right. But what the sport is now doing is, in my viewpoint, it's opening the doors completely around really constructive communication and participation and all-encompassing to try and develop further the sport at the casual level, club level, provincial level, and of course with our internationals, with our national side, the Blackjack. So, and it can't happen overnight. And to all you bowlers out there who are watching this, remember that things have been pretty slow for a number of years, and we can't expect big changes to happen overnight. But the positive to all you people out there is they are actually happening. They are reality. There is change, and look, I think...
And we won't get them all right, Kevin.
Of course not.
But at least we are trying some stuff, and at least we are moving the sport forward.
So to all you people out there, thank you for taking the time to watch this morning with Mark Cameron, the CEO of Bowls New Zealand, and myself, and of course Kevin Hickling, that is. And I, throughout the summer, of course, we will be bringing you a number of events through our live streaming and with Radio Sport and other broadcasting partners as well. And of course Sky with the Bowls 3-5. So we look forward to bringing these to you, another one further down the track, but rest assured that we're going to be doing our utmost to bring bowls into your lounge, whether it be via radio, television or via social media, and that's a big goal for us this coming year. So thanks for your time, Mark. And
thank you. No, thank you for your time.
And look forward to all of your feedback. Thank you.